All right, let's talk about Raw Nitro.
I want to hear you rant more.
Oh, I can't rant on demand. I have to have something to get angry about.
Well, good news.
Good news. The second half of Nitro. You know what this show was?
Nice going, Vince.
This show here, this Nitro, can you give us the date and the et cetera?
It's Nitro 189, April 26th, 1999.
Okay. This show should be included, although it would be copyright infringement. I don't want to get in trouble again. And by the way, I had a lawyer text me yesterday and said, you're doing a tribute show. That's probably just like fair use. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this DVD of this show should be included with Death of WCW.
Sure.
Because this fucking show was literally everything that was great and horrible and funny and terrible, and it was the kind of thing that built the company, and it's the kind of thing that killed the company, all wrapped up in one show.
Yep.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. It had everything. It had angles that sent everybody to the other channel. It had an old school, legitimate world championship match with a clean fucking finish that was great. Mm-hmm. They fucked it all up by the time the show was over.
Yes, that's the amazing part. They created something great and ruined it within, 90 minutes?
90 minutes. They had angles that didn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, I have no idea what's going on or who's on whose side.
They had the Armstrongs.
They did.
They had Ming.
The Armstrongs are one of the best parts of the show.
Ric Flair. Simultaneously the best and worst thing on the show. It's incredible.
Right.
Let's begin. I need to calm down.
Well, the show opened with a memorial graphic for Rick Rude.
That's right. Rick Rude died. 40 years old. He's in the middle of training for another comeback.
Mm-hmm. Just on TV like 6 months ago.
Yep. It was a rough time. He was forget the stat Dave had, like the 25th wrestler in, I don't know if it was the 90s or since the Monday Night Wars began. There was a high body count.
Yes.
And many more to come.
Well, yeah. So we got a recap of whatever the hell happened with Ric Flair last week. I know and knew that the WWF used the Dracula music for all their video packages, but apparently WCW used it too.
You know what you didn't know? That this show opened up with Ric Flair in the asylum?
Well, what it opened with was the worst actors in the world.
Yes.
Playing the nurse and doctor.
Now, before we get into what actually happened, last week on Nitro, Ric Flair was committed for 72 hours.
Okay.
Now, I'm not very good at math.
No, you're not.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure that there's more than 72 hours in 7 days.
You're correct.
That would be an average of about 10 hours per day.
You're right.
Yeah. So,
You did say about.
Wow.
What happened if you watched the shows was,
Impressed.
he was in the asylum last week, or he was committed.
He was going there.
He was out of the asylum on Thunder. He was backstage working on Thunder at the show.
Okay.
Then over the weekend, he worked a bunch of house shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Monday, he's in the asylum again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the timeline of Ric Flair being locked up.
Work will do that to you.
Maybe he was recommitted.
So this doctor and this nurse are just destroying the industry of television with their performances here. Mm-hmm. The nurse determines the patients will not be watching Nitro tonight here in the mental hospital, Central Florida Mental Hospital, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently they let the folks stay up late into the night on Mondays to watch their wrestling. Flair comes out. He is in his boxers and a bathrobe, or a Ric Flair robe.
The same boxers he was wearing last week, Vince.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yes.
Yeah. So he apparently is under the impression that they are in a hotel that he owns.
Yeah, he's crazy.
And was hanging out. So you may think to yourself, wow, remember when Ric Flair went to the mental hospital? I remember that. It was terrible. No, you don't remember how terrible this was. This is so much worse than you remember.
This was very bad.
Like, it's not even... It's there's things that are bad, and then they're so bad they're painful, and they're so bad you can laugh at them, and then they're so bad you're afraid you'll get caught watching it.
They're so bad you're actually embarrassed for the people on screen.
And yourself.
Sure.
This is like 4 minutes long, and I was just locked in one full body cringe the entire time. It was painful to watch this. And there's more.
This nurse that they had, this actor that's playing the nurse, the first nurse, not the buff one, she could not even pretend to keep a straight face.
She was cute.
Couldn't even try. Flair's just out of his mind. At least he had pants on, or underwear.
Yeah, he has boxers
Normally it
on.
would just be the robe.
Yeah. Charles Robinson and J.J. Dillon went over some papers. So, apparently this whole time, this whole time Flair's been president, which feels like it's been about 4 years now. I think it's supposed to be for the 90 days.
Yeah.
The whole time, Charles Robinson was the vice president of the company.
Sure.
Yeah.
And since Flair is out of commission, that means Charles is now in charge.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
That's what he
Charles
said.
is in charge.
was
They repeated that all throughout the night.
Yeah.
Now, what's funny is, so the storyline is Flair was a president. He made Little Nate the vice president. He got committed. Now Little Nate is the president.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Sure.
Took these guys 5 minutes.
That's true.
JJ's like, looks like it's true. What do you mean? Well, you're the vice president. Okay, Flair's the president. Okay, he's incapacitated. All right, well, that means you're in charge. What? That means you're in charge. I'm in charge? You're in charge. You're telling me I'm in charge?
Who's
You're
on
in
first?
charge. Does that mean I can do anything I want? That's what that means. All right.
This is going to be awesome, he says.
3 hours. This show was.
Now, it's important to note that he did clarify that as the acting president of the company now, he outranks Commissioner Roddy Piper.
Yes, that was
Remember
made
that.
clear.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again. It's important. He outranks Commissioner Roddy Piper. So Roddy Piper came out for a promo and said, I'm in charge now.
Well, hold on, Vinny. Let's be fair. Piper didn't see the backstage deal. To the best of his knowledge, Flair has been committed, and so is the commissioner. He's in charge.
So no one,
well,
not,
no, it just happened.
not acting president Charles
No.
Robinson. What is J.J. Dillon? He's not the president of the commissioner, but he seems to be in charge of both of them.
Well, no, he's just an office guy.
Remember how we said it was like Lucha Underground? You can't see what the backstage is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, they
You know, it's funny. Speaking of Lucha Underground, I found myself wishing, why is Dario Cueto not in charge of Nitro? One guy who is in charge and everyone knows it.
Sure.
So Piper comes out, makes fun of Flair, says he's in charge. He reinstates Randy Savage and Gorgeous George.
which, by the way, if the president or the vice president outranks whatever Roddy is, the commissioner,
Yes.
how can he reinstate a guy that the president fired?
That's a great question.
Well, that's stupid.
It is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Are you sure it was only the last half of the show you didn't
It
like?
was definitely the last half.
There was really just the one great part in the middle.
That's actually true now that I look at this.
So-
especially the next match.
So Piper reinstates Savage and George, which immediately negates the point of the Gorgeous George Charles Robinson match at the upcoming pay-per-view.
That's
Correct.
true.
He books Savage versus Scott Steiner for the U.S. title tonight in an apparent attempt to get the craziest people in the world in the same wrestling ring. Starts talking about DDP when Paige comes out. The world heavyweight champion, the star of stars, the face of the company, comes out on national TV in a T-shirt with a Three Stooges T-shirt with a joke about nose picking. Piper challenges him to defend the belt against Sting tonight. Paige says he would love to, but no, and starts to leave. And then Piper books the match anyway and says Paige has 45 minutes to prepare.
All right, so I don't want to jump ahead or anything like that, but Randy Savage had been fired, and it was going to be Charles Robinson versus Gorgeous George, where if she won, he was reinstated.
Savage, yes.
Okay. So now Savage has been reinstated. Okay. So jumping forward to the end of the show, Randy Savage is now a heel.
I guess.
And I'm pretty sure that Charles Robinson is a heel.
Sure.
So we've got.
I have no idea.
I
am not going to waste my time thinking
baffled.
Well,
right
see,
now.
Gorgeous George is hot, therefore she's baby.
about it. It actually makes some sense.
So she's the one babyface in all of this.
Absolutely.
I could not figure out what was going on. And really, I hadn't even thought about that till I was reviewing it right here because I realized, looking back, that Savage turns heel at the end of the show. Now I'm even more baffled.
Yes, none of this makes a goddamn lick of sense. Brian Adams versus Conan.
It was horrible.
I mean, it was.
It went on forever.
Yeah, Conan, as always, gets blown up.
They just, like, Conan would make a comeback, but then, like, they'd get the heat again.
He made a comeback and then just fall down because he was so tired. So he hooks the Tequila Sunrise and the Black and White attacks with the DQ. God forbid Brian Adams submits.
No.
We must protect this man.
This was horrific television, and nobody made the save for Conan after he got beat up.
No.
You notice Conan and Ray both had their No Limit soldier shirts this evening.
Is that right? I noticed they were
Yeah.
wearing camouflage football jerseys.
They're coming.
Didn't realize it was No Limit.
Well, they need somebody to watch their back. Who better than the No Limit Soldiers and Master P?
Hooty hoo. Had an old Sting hype video. It's just been sitting around. They just put it back on TV. The announcers then said, we were supposed to have a tag team match right now, but the Four Horsemen attacked both Saturn and Billy Kidman and sent them to the hospital. And so we're all just moving on with our lives.
I thought, so Bobby Heenan was sick, and I think Kidman was sick. I don't know where Saturn was. But like later in the show, Nash did a promo and said, I've got my gear in the car. And so I initially thought, well, maybe like Kidman and Saturn forgot their gear. And that's why they were written off this show, but I don't think it was.
That doesn't make any sense.
I thought I missed an angle where the Horsemen beat everybody up, but apparently not. They just weren't there.
They just didn't do it on camera.
So we got a 2-on-1 match with the Armstrongs against Raven.
Raven versus Steve and Scott Armstrong. First of all, well, that's a lot.
First of all, it's Scott and Steve Armstrong versus Raven.
You're right.
There's nothing before that.
Well, so the Armstrongs have been geeks in this show from day one, but they come out here for a handicap match, not against a huge person like the Giant or Scott Norton.
No.
It's a handicap match against a guy who was so small, Vince McMahon made him an announcer for years, or a manager for years.
They're taking on Scotty Flamingo.
Yes.
And who are the heels here?
Oh, the Armstrongs, clearly.
Right.
Now,
I don't know.
But Raven's a heel.
no, he's not.
Okay.
I think him and Saturn
Since they have started
faces.
feuding with the Horsemen, they have been baby.
the Horsemen are heels.
Yes.
Okay.
So Raven comes out and explains to the fans what the announcer said. Saturn's not here. I got to fight by myself. Then he fights by himself. Now, as silly and ridiculous as this all was, God, I enjoyed it.
Dude, there was nothing. It was a very, very good match.
The Armstrongs are a great geek tag team.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out why it was a no DQ match, but that's another story.
It's
entirely.
Raven's rules.
I see.
All of Raven's matches.
I got it.
Yeah.
So anyway, he made a comeback. They cut him off, and like eventually there was a DDT, and Steve Armstrong hit Raven with a chair, and Scott pinned him, and the Armstrongs beat Raven.
2 men beat 1.
In a good match.
Yeah,
Sure.
The Armstrongs beat Raven, and Mike Tenay cries out, "The Armstrongs pull off the upset."
Yeah,
Two against
2-on-1.
one.
They pulled off the upset against Raven. I love this.
Every time Raven made a comeback, it was like he had just made a hot tag. He hits the ring, he's in the middle, and they just take turns feeding him.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was great. This is a fun match.
They're a very, very good team.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a fine single babyface
Yes.
here.
Mm-hmm. Flair is on a payphone at the hospital.
A payphone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently at this mental hospital, they will allow cameras to stay after hours to film the visitors doing whatever they want.
And not to mention, they were watching Nitro.
Well, at times. There was times they were watching Nitro on TV, and there was times when the feed on TV was the exact same feed we were watching them. So it was like they were watching themselves wrestle around the floor. The patients, yes. So Flair can also make a payphone call whenever he wants at this mental hospital.
Where does he keep his dime?
He calls Charles Robinson. We can hear both voices. He orders Robinson to have Roddy Piper thrown in jail. Jail!
Yeah, it was him jailed.
So that one really muscular woman...
Asia.
Yeah, so was her name.
Because she's bigger than China.
Right. And I think she ends up with Steiner at some point.
That's
but
not
yes.
Mud Asia, though.
No, Medeia's
No,
is
that's
different.
different, yeah.
This is just ASYA
Asia's
Asia.
the brunette.
Yes, Craig. She's the brunette.
You are so creepy.
I like brunettes.
Okay. So, me and Gene interviews...
Doesn't mean you can't also like blondes or redheads.
Meh.
And get out of here. You're one of those people. Oh, Sonny just looks so terrible today. Oh. Get
Well,
out
today
of
she
here.
does.
Get out of here.
Me and Gene interviews Charles Robinson. Piper comes back out. Robinson starts demanding security. Piper runs him down, says, "You're only in charge of Flair's bedpan." And Robinson says, "I have a message from Flair," and slaps him.
You know, Piper has a lot of stupid lines, but when Charles Robinson slapped him and Piper very calmly to the mic says, "That's going to cost you your life," I howled.
Is that, and to say he no-sold this slap is not doing it justice.
Yes.
Robinson slapped him pretty hard, and Piper was a statue.
Yeah.
He didn't flinch, he didn't lean into it, he didn't react in any way. And then he calmly said, "I'm going to end your life," or whatever.
That's going to cost you your life.
Yeah. Security hits the ring. They all tackle
I feel like
Piper.
I've heard him say that before, but I don't remember when.
I do.
I know. Get out of here.
Charles starts screaming, "Charles is in charge! That's Mr. Robinson to you!" He said Piper's fired, but he will still face Flair at Slamboree.
For a referee playing Ric Flair, Charles in charge did a pretty good job, I got to say.
He was fun.
Yeah, he was very good.
Sting versus Dallas Page for the world title.
Holy smokes. First off, did you see DDP, how shredded this guy was?
Yeah.
And huge.
He had
This
to have
to be
been...
the best shape of his life. His traps were
Coincidentally,
enormous.
right when he got his first run as the world champion.
Well, motivation. I'm sure you did extra cardio.
He was just shredded. He had abs. He had a vein in his abs. I couldn't even believe my eyes.
So Sting is out there in the... It's Crow Sting. We've all seen it. And those wacky white spats.
Yeah, he had these wacky shoes on.
I was wondering if he just had his ankles taped heavily.
No.
That would make some sense, but it was strange looking. So yes, they had a very, very good match. What I loved about it is that besides being good, the whole thing was built around ball shots. Paige got the heat with a nut shot as Sting was punching him in the corner. Sting is making a brief comeback and he knocks Paige down, but then Sting collapses, but he headbutts Paige in the nuts. Paige comes back, he yanks Sting's nuts into the post. This goes on and on and on. And finally, Paige has the advantage. They've both been trying their finisher several times and unable to hit.
Dude, they hit all sorts of things. They had a reversal, a bunch of reversals into a tombstone.
Yes.
They screwed one of them up.
Yeah.
Sting's scary as all hell pile driver where he drops to his knees.
Yep. With a guy facing away from him.
Yeah, he did that to Boss Man on like one of the first Nitros.
Yeah, it was horrifying.
Apparently that's just how Sting hits pile drivers, which is why he doesn't do them very often.
Yeah.
I got the tombstone, Paige did a DDT, another low blow Paige hits, and he tries the cutter out of the corner, but Sting grabs the ropes to block and then just hooks Paige's head and hits the reverse DDT and wins the title.
I don't think when Daniel Bryan won the title at that one WrestleMania, if the crowd reacted like they reacted to Sting when he hit that death drop here.
It was pretty amazing.
Every single fan not only got to their feet, but they all put their arms up in the air at the same time. This giant sea of completely overjoyed people. They went absolutely haywire. So it's days like this where you go, how did it take so long for Sting to get in the Hall of Fame? Mm-hmm. How?
Well,
I realized he lost it by the
show.
end of the show and everything like that, but man, this guy
That's
was
the answer.
over. This guy was so popular. Kind of like a Luger, actually, except way more popular. He won that title. They just absolutely lost their shit.
But between the two of them, it's amazing what WCW had and how they floundered it.
Yeah, and I mean,
Luger's case for a decade.
so the best match on Impact in I don't even know how long.
Or Nitro.
Or Nitro. Or Impact.
It was a
last-
very, very good championship match.
It was awesome.
And the crowd was very surprised and pleased to see the title change hands.
Because I said it before, it doesn't matter what stupid shit they do. This was a group of fans that bought tickets and they wanted to see good professional wrestling.
Yeah.
That's all they wanted. This company could have been alive today if they just would have given those fans fucking wrestling matches. Instead, there's a crazy guy in whatever they called it, the mental hospital. There's a bunch of fucking storylines that don't make any sense. There's just bullshit left and right. All they wanted was wrestling.
Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Psychosis.
Well, they didn't want all the wrestling.
These guys were in a death spot.
Yeah.
Crowd did not care about this after watching Sting win the world title again.
Psychosis won the title last week, by the way.
I did not realize he was champion until he got pinned at the end here.
You didn't remember last week when he won the belt?
Oh, that leg, yes.
Yeah, he won with that leg drop.
The
It was
match
just-
I liked, no one else did.
Yeah.
Yes.
No one, and you're the one that forgot it.
Yes.
Yeah, that marathon match that
Yes.
went 2.5 days.
This was better than that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
not much.
Get
but
out of here, Vinny. This was a better wrestling match than that one.
just because it was shorter.
So they're doing stuff. The Horsemen come out. Ray dives onto them. And then Ray is thrown in. He turns a powerbomb into a DDT and he wins. And I wrote, well, this was a nothing match. And the next thing I know, Ray's celebrating with a belt.
Yeah, he's a new champion.
Okay.
Psychosis hits this thing. It looks like a top rope Falcon arrow. That's
It was, but he
Awesome.
did it different.
It
Yeah.
was like a front suplex, but he twisted the guy halfway so it landed on his back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Usually when guys do it, they lift the guy up and over and then turn around.
right.
He lifted him and then turned him around and
Yeah.
dropped.
It was awesome looking.
It was cool. Psychosis does cool shit.
So then Benoit Malenko hit the ring, and are they trying to kill Ray? They did the same move that we thought was a botch, like 2 weeks ago.
I-
They
yeah.
did it again.
They get together. They put their hands out. Ray jumps on them. It's like a cheerleading move.
Yeah, but then they get out of the way and he crashes.
They launch him high in the air. He jumps as high as he can, and he just falls to earth.
He just falls on his legs and
Gravity
knees.
takes over. Yes.
Dude, stop trying to hurt this little guy.
Kevin Nash came out for a promo. The announcers and Nash himself say that he had past tense a title match against Paige at Slamboree, but now he doesn't have it because Paige isn't champion anymore. So Nash is response to this.
Well, not only that, but they announced it is now Sting versus Goldberg.
Oh,
for the title.
I missed that. Yes, because Flair called Nate.
Yes.
Flair called Robinson and said, "I want Sting versus Goldberg at Slamboree."
That's right. Put this match together.
Yes. So Nash's solution is to challenge Goldberg, Page, and Sting to a 4-way tonight, and then he left.
And don't forget, I got my gear in the car. What inside reference was that all of us needed to hear?
Don't know.
Because he's so cool.
Maybe he was just saying, "I know I'm in jeans now, but I did bring my gear."
No shit, you brought your gear to a wrestling show, you fucking idiot. We
I'm
know
sure
that.
sometimes he didn't.
Well, come on.
That's a way to get out of wrestling.
Exactly. Flair calls Robinson again. So this is the part where, as Flair's on the phone, the other guys are trying to do like referee's position and amateur stuff on the floor.
Yeah, they're doing amateur wrestling with Asia.
And if you watch the TV behind them, you can see it's the feed of the camera that you are looking through.
Well, hey, they were live.
Yeah.
Which is odd. You couldn't pre-tape all of this?
I don't know. So
I guess things could go wrong.
You can set up a monitor and pre-tape it.
yeah. Anyway, yes, they're doing stuff with Asia. Where the hell are we? Flair wants Robinson to book the 4-way. He thinks Nash had a great idea. And then Flair is about to wrestle Asia. He's on his hands and knees. She comes up and wraps one arm around his waist and grabs the other. And then the first nurse walks up and she just stands there and everyone looks at each other. You know how for 25 years now we've been watching awkward pauses on Raw?
Yeah.
None of them as awkward as this.
Well, it was an awkward scene.
Ugh.
With an awkward pause in the middle of this awkward scene.
Hey, speaking of awkward, Eric Watts is on TV.
Yeah, for a nothing match with Bam Bam Bigelow.
Eric Watts pioneered the Hardys look in this match.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess they have not been on Raw yet. But yeah, he comes out in skateboard pants and a t-shirt. Sadly, he was not a skateboarder because I'm pretty sure any random Venice skateboarder could have had a better match than this.
Yes.
He tried to wrestle like a man 100 pounds smaller, failed miserably. Bam Bam pinned him with greetings from Asbury Park.
So he was ahead of his time.
I guess so, yes.
Wow. Never would have thought that about
Let's talk
Eric
about
Watts.
this Frankensteiner that he tried.
So he tried a Frankensteiner, and it ends up with him on his hands and knees, and Bam Bam still on his feet, and so Eric backdropped him.
Yeah.
As best I could tell.
It was horrid.
Tony says, it only went about 3 minutes or so. And I went back and timed it 71 seconds.
I was going to say, there was no way that was 3 minutes. It didn't even feel like 3 minutes. And usually an Eric Watts match would feel like it was 15 minutes.
It felt like a terrible 1 minute, which is what it was.
Yeah.
Gene brings Sting out for a promo. Sting accepts the challenge for the 4-way to end all the whining in the back.
Man, it was a stunning promo by the new world champion. I'll see you in the ring tonight. Okay.
Meng versus Booker T.
This match was fun. The show had not fallen off yet.
It was two big mofos throwing each other around and clobbering each other.
It was also
wonderful.
This was also Ming's best hair.
Best hair, best pants.
Yeah, he had the pants on. He had a good tan.
Yeah.
He's looking good
Sure.
for Ming.
Did we note where Shivani made fun of Tenay for spending 20 hours a day on the internet?
Really?
Yes. I can only imagine what he's up to now then. So, ref gets bumped. Meng hooks the Tongan death grip. Stevie Ray knocks out Meng with a slapjack. Booker falls on top, and the ref counts 3. Okay, I'm fine with all this. Why did Rick Steiner come out?
That's a good question.
And why did he attack Stevie Ray and yell at Booker T?
I don't know.
Why does Rick care about any of these people?
Apparently, we missed something.
I think there was something somewhere involving some people.
Oh, I see.
Thanks
You know
for
what I
clearing
mean?
that up, Brian.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I cleared it up better than Nate did.
Not really.
I have more questions.
We had a Kevin Nash video package, okay? The idea is you take a wrestler, you go through all your massive video library, you get together all the cool shit he does, and you put it in a video.
There's a problem.
And now put it in I see where you're going with
What are we
this.
talking about here? Like when he dropped the giant on his head and almost killed the guy?
If nothing else,
Like when he got touched by Hulk Hogan and lost the title?
You could have
like
him-
when he prodded somebody with a cow gimmick and beat him?
You can have him throwing Eric Bischoff through a table for 2
Oh,
minutes.
come
There you
on.
go.
Over and over again?
He's done some. I promise you.
Sure.
I promise
All right,
you.
fine.
The first giant power bomb.
When he power bombed Eric through the table, when he lawn darted Rey Mysterio.
Yes, there's one.
Okay, yeah, back in '96.
The point is he's been there for years. They could have found stuff.
Hmm.
So what they found instead was a minute of Kevin Nash posing and making funny faces and fixing his hair.
Sounds awesome.
You're a world champion contender.
Well, that's what he's best at.
Fixing his hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
had a recap of Hulk Hogan's surgery with Dr. Andrews. So, Dr. Andrews, as we've noted, the best in his field,
World renowned.
like nobody else in his planet right now. No
Absolutely.
one else does their job better or gets more credit for doing their job better than Dr. Andrews, and it's been decades now. But still, when he puts up these x-rays and says, Hulk got hurt wrestling.
He got hurt wrestling.
I raise my hand. If you talk like that, maybe don't cut up my knee.
His knee shows the damage of an athlete.
Yeah.
Are you saying
Okay.
Southerners can't perform surgery?
I would just be hesitant. As
Oh, get out of here, Vinny. He's the best in the world.
He is the best in the world. I said that. That's
so
a
what
fact.
the hell are you talking about then?
I said I'm revealing my own prejudices.
Okay.
Okay. So it's
Thank
my
you.
weakness.
I'm going to write that down.
So
Disgusted.
Hogan does not want to get the surgery. He wants to take care of Paige first. I can take care of Paige on a bad leg, brother.
He didn't have a bad leg. He's walking around. He ain't limping. I'm like, did you forget that your leg hurts? Do you think
Yes.
you were getting neck surgery
Yes,
or
he
like
did.
eye surgery?
To be fair, he was going in to get it scoped, so it probably wasn't that bad.
Well, then he should have wrestled.
Not after it's scoped. You
Well,
need a
as-
few weeks to heal.
No, before it got scoped. That's what he even argued.
Okay, that's fair.
As Bischoff explained, let Nash take care of business. You take care of yourself. You are too important to this industry to work injured. So they scoped his knee. They took out some chunks of bone or whatever.
Cartilage.
And Dr. Andrews is talking about it, and then some other guy is talking about the pain Hogan felt in his knee. Overtraining is bad for you, and then they cut him off mid-sentence to go to commercial.
Not only that, they're like, Hogan should kind of take it easy after the surgery, but he's not gonna, and it's gonna be bad. That's how we're going off the air here. Thanks, Doc.
And more of Flair and Robinson on the phone. How many dimes did Flair have?
I would bet a few.
Flair wants Rick Steiner booked for Slamboree.
Of course, he
I
probably,
guess
had,
Booker T.
probably had to borrow one at the end of the thing.
Then Flair leads the mental patients in dance lessons. And then Scott Hall is there,
Yeah.
and they make fun of him.
Yep. And it was never
God
brought up
almighty, what the hell is happening?
ever again. They thought it would be funny if Scott Hall made a cameo in the asylum.
It was kind of funny.
And that was it. That was it. I mean, he has been gone. Who the hell knows?
Okay, we are now at the point where the show is no good.
Right.
Okay, this was where the show fell off a cliff.
Yes.
Hack, Mikey Whipwreck, Brian Knobbs, and Horace in like the definition of a bullshit hardcore match.
Can I say this right now? And excuse my language. Brian Knobbs is a dick.
I would
He was hitting
true.
people so hard.
I would
Yeah.
rather be in a UFC fight than be in a hardcore wrestling match with Brian Knobbs. Because at least in a UFC fight, if you get hurt, the fight will stop. He's just hitting guys in the head as hard as he can over and over and over again.
The best one, and by the best one I mean the worst one, and we should actually ask Mikey about this because I could be wrong, but it looked to me like this fucking guy put the ladder on his head like Terry
Yes.
Funk.
Yes.
And so he starts to swing one way, and so Mikey Whipwreck is expecting the ladder to hit
Come
one
around.
side of his head. But then Knobbs just randomly spins the other way and fucking hits him on the other side of the head with the ladder when he wasn't expecting it.
Yep. That's how I saw it. Or there's a spot, it starts, the focus is on Hack, so all the guys are just hitting him with sticks as hard as they possibly can. Just whacking him, whacking him, and whacking him. And then Knobbs turns to Mikey and whacks him in the side of the face, and Mikey goes down. I guarantee you Mikey didn't see that one coming. That caught him totally off guard. Fortunately, his eyeball stayed in place. So this went on. This went through a commercial. Imagine getting to the back and find out that of the 18 times you were hit in the head, 10 of them were not on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice too when they were starting up the match, there was a big box, and Tony said, and I quote, "There's a big box of gimmicks at
Box of gimmicks,
ringside."
yes.
Yeah. I enjoyed where Horace is on a table and Hack is going to put him through the table with a pescado. And here we are 19 years later, and I still have no idea if Hack got him or not.
There were a few of those.
Yeah, he went through the table, it broke, both guys sold it, but I'm not sure if the guy moved or not.
There was Mikey did a dive onto Sandman, I think, and I am not sure if Sandman caught him or blocked it or dodged. I don't know what happened.
But they did both fall down.
They both fell
There's
down.
a lot of two people falling down in this match.
And in all this mayhem and silliness, there's just a random large surge container
Yes.
in the ring because
Yeah.
you got to get
It's
that
not
product,
random.
You got to get that product placement.
Exactly.
I am like 90% sure. There was you brought the surge container. In the rare moments when Brian Knobbs was selling in this match, Hack takes the surge container.
Yes.
And he sets it down on its wheels in front of Knobs. And I guarantee you, he was thinking, I'll go to Knobs, he'll punch me,
Yes.
I'll fall head first into this, my legs will be kicking it.
Absolutely.
Knobs punches him right in the head and just takes that surge can and throws it out of the ring. God forbid anything funny or creative happen. I have to hit more people in the head with shit. So eventually, there's like a fire extinguisher. Okay.
Who gives a shit?
Knobs won.
Comes off the top with a trash can, drops ladder on Mikey, and pins him.
Yeah.
Don't ever watch this match.
The winner of this, by the way, gets a match against Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, good.
Who is the default, uncrowned, I guess, hardcore champion. Scott Steiner versus Randy Savage. Steiner says he buries Piper for wearing skirts, promises to beat Savage and show George who's the real Macho Man. So Randy Savage comes out.
So is Scott Steiner just going into business for himself in these promos, or what's going on?
Yes.
Because he says, if I beat you tonight, if you beat me, you get my belt.
Yeah.
If I beat you, I want to take your freak and show her what it's like to be with a real Macho Man.
I don't think it's so much a stipulation as a boast.
No, he made it a stipulation.
But they did this last week on Raw with Deborah.
Yeah, but he said, you beat me, you get the belt. I beat you, I get your freak.
Yes.
And there was nothing like that in storyline, so I think he just made it up.
Yeah.
I think he won tonight with George.
I also like the fact that Randy Savage comes out with two gorgeous women and does his whole entrance in the dark.
Randy Savage comes out. He is, for his entrance, he is accompanied by Gorgeous George and her enormous fake boobs. And the debuting Miss Madness.
Molly Holly. Mm-hmm. She was the one training. She was the one actually training Gorgeous George. Mm-hmm. Medusa was fake training her.
Okay.
As we'll see in the video.
So the match begins.
Charles Robinson out in a suit to referee.
Let's start.
Before the match even begins, let's not gloss over Randy Savage here. This dude comes out, he's all blown up. And not only is he all blown up, he's still doing the fake lats. So his arms are like straight out to the side, like he's a bird. He's got his new hair.
Like the kid from
Sure.
Christmas Story, yes.
Coming out with two women. I mean, it's the very definition of a midlife crisis.
Sure.
That's what we were watching
For a guy who
right here
basically did a midlife crisis his entire career.
on national television. It was astonishing.
Yeah. So the match begins. Steiner pushes Randy. Randy's arm gently grazes against Robinson. Robinson calls for the DQ. So Steiner's a heel. Robinson's a heel. This would lead you to believe Randy Savage is a baby face. Just keep all that in mind. So Medusa appears out of Christ knows where, kicks Robinson in the head, throws him in the ring. They strip his clothes off. He's wearing the same boxers Flair was last week. I'm just looking at this crew. Randy Savage, Gorgeous George, Medusa, and Molly Holly.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest crew of all time. Has to be.
No.
It's up there.
It's up there, I'll give you that much.
Robinson yells at them and leaves. So they cut to the announcers. And they're running down the show or plugging the main event or whatever. And Tony stops. Tony's running down the card like this. We got a great main event, folks. And he stops and he looks off camera and says, "Oh, you want to be in TV? You can't! Ha!" And he goes back to work. What the hell was that?
He's done.
He gives
He's
no
over
fucks.
it.
We had the Gorgeous George training video.
I'm going to analyze this.
Okay.
And there's not much to analyze.
Oh, there is. There's a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I got out of this was this Gorgeous George, to me, maybe I'm in the minority. I thought she was way, way better looking than Sable was.
Okay.
And, like, if WWE would have got a hold of her, she would have been like a mega star.
Okay.
But she's stuck here in WCW and ended up doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because they were fucking clueless.
She ended up dating one of the Misfits, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
The band Misfits?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was really hot, but she was also really cute.
You're right.
Yeah.
So what I got out of this video,
But she couldn't work to save her life.
well, yeah, she's not actually a wrestler. She is a model or dancer, whatever you want to call her. But it was
Let me tell you a story, everybody.
Don't sugarcoat it, Vince.
This was in about 2002 or so.
This is Brian's favorite story.
I love this story.
Yeah.
So go down to Portland Wrestling, and they introduced me to my valet. I was given, by the way, I did not choose his name. Beautiful Brian Alvarez.
I love the valet's name. It's the
And they
best.
gave me the valet Miss Rent to Own.
That's what she was called.
Because they had a sponsor, Rent to Own Auto.
Yeah.
And so they got this. She was very beautiful.
Did anyone ever put together, by the way, that Rent to Own's a horrible name for a valet?
Well, anyway, I'm sure that was the point. But it was Miss Rent to Own, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, naive young man. We're in the locker room figuring out what we're doing for the match, and I'm just saying hi or whatever. And what do you do?
This is, well, hang on.
And she goes, I'm a dancer.
Okay.
So my immediate thought was
Uh-huh.
Portland Trailblazers.
Sure.
Beautiful girl, dancer.
Right.
So anyway, just go through the whole show, everything like that, and afterwards we went down together, and she goes, "You guys want to go eat? I don't know if she said she would pay or whatever, but she said let's go eat." So it was me and Vinny and Miss Rentone, and we go to eat. We went to like a pizza place. I don't even remember where we went, but we went somewhere.
You didn't go to the Acropolis?
And she goes, "Don't worry, I'll pay." And she pulls out a wad of cash like this thick.
Once?
Once.
And Vinny, like, it's just the way, zero tact,
Yeah.
Yeah.
matter of fact,
Yes.
just looks
That's
right up and goes, "You're a stripper."
Yeah. And she responded, matter of factly, yeah.
I was just
Because it's not a big deal.
backwards over my fucking
That's
chair.
because you are naive,
No, it's because I'm a gentleman.
and I think there's no shame in being a stripper.
What if she was a fucking valet and she got a lot of tips?
Then she'd say, no, I'm a
Then she
valet.
would have been very, very embarrassed.
Why would she be mad?
Well, Vinny,
What's
you know,
wrong with being a stripper? Are you anti-stripper?
Vinny, I think if you went down the street and you went up to like 5 random women
His wife says he is.
and you asked them, "Excuse me, are you a stripper?" Like, there's probably a good chance that you'd be slapped a few times. Maybe not every time, but a few. Am I wrong?
You may be right.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
But she and I were on the same wavelength.
You were definitely on the same wavelength.
Yeah. You think it's a funny, outrageous story.
It is hilarious.
I think it's one of, like, the only time in my life I was ever observant and connected 2 dots.
Get out of here, you idiot.
And she just says yes.
You know what? Vinny's got a point.
Because for her, it's just a day in the life. I asked her a question about her job, and she replied. What the hell were we talking about? Oh, Gorgeous George in this video.
Yeah.
So, I was expecting this to be like borderline pornography, the kind of thing. That
No, she was really training.
There's about half of it where she would be like in a leotard stretching or standing with a bright light behind her or whatever. And then she would be working a heavy bag or lifting weights, and Medusa would be there and be doing stuff. By the end of this, there was more training for a combat sport in this video than there was for Ken Shamrock's video when he debuted for WWF.
Yeah.
Because that one was all just weightlifting and flexing.
Hey, her in-ring didn't look good, but she could throw them hands.
That's right.
She was like Braun Strowman.
That's right. Main event, Paige, Nash, Goldberg, and Sting. This began, I was like, I am completely exhausted.
Well, luckily it was quick and it sucked. Everybody,
Luckily.
everybody was in everybody. You know, I'm gonna explain.
They were in each other's way
I
all
will
the damn
explain
time.
this match to you, okay? Don't imagine that this was a 4-way. Imagine that there are 2 different promotions, and each of them signed a main event,
Yeah.
but they double booked the building,
There's only one
and
ring.
so both main events have to take place at the same time in the same ring.
Yes.
And so
ECW did this, by the way. Go ahead.
both crews are just going to do their own match,
Yeah.
and the other guys better get the fuck out of the way.
Right.
And they often don't.
That is what happens.
That's what happened right here.
Yeah.
God, it was bad.
So they were in each other's way all the damn time. So Goldberg jackhammers Sting, but Randy Savage breaks up the pin
Yeah.
because
It's no DQ.
it was no DQ. Flair made it no DQ. As we would later, as was clear, Savage didn't care about Sting losing. He didn't want Goldberg to win. So he hates Steiner, he hates Flair, but apparently he also hates Goldberg, this Savage fella. And then Savage tosses brass knucks to Paige. So I guess they're friends. Now, Savage, by the way, was in the ring, then left, then tossed the knucks. Why he couldn't have just handed them to him before leaving, I don't know. So Paige punches out Nash, hits him with a cutter, and pins him to regain the title. So not only was Sting's title win negated and turned into a 1-hour joke, but Paige leaves the show as champion, but much colder as champion than he was when the show started.
Not only that,
They
but
fucked everybody.
Sting didn't get beaten to lose a title. Fans are just pelting the ring with garbage.
A smoke bomb.
As they should.
They hated it. Like, no reaction to the finish. It's just a horrible ending.
As Paige is leaving through the crowd, he tries to leave the crowd through one corner, they take him to the other corner, and then you can see there actually someone, I don't know who or why, but there's a smoke bomb on the ground going off. And Paige leaves, and that's the end of the show.
Whew. Oh! I guess it's time.
I suppose so. If ever you had circus music for these two programs, Raw was a different kind of circus.
Well, here we go.
The finishes on this show were DQ due to run-in, pin after chair shot in a no DQ match, clean pin for the world title, pin after shenanigans for the cruiserweight title, clean pin in 71 seconds, pin after slapjack, pin in a hardcore match, immediate DQ by a crooked ref, pin after interference and brass knucks in a no DQ match.
Man,